All right. So we watched a movie by Blue Sky, a company
Yes, we
that I
did.
had not thought of in a very long time.
They were shut down.
Yeah, and not surprising.
This was their last movie, and they were shut down for
Tax evasion,
tax
right?
issues. Tax issues.
Yeah.
Not tax evasion. What tax? It's not tax evasion. It's tax reasons.
Yeah, I knew it had to do with taxes, so my immediate thought was evasion.
It's mostly the fact that Disney just recently took over Fox, and they did the exact same things Warner Brother did.
Ugh.
AKA acts a lot of side stuff, because Disney owns like 5 different animation studios at this point. They don't need a 6th, which is a shame.
Yeah. So, Spies in Disguise is a movie with Will Smith and
Tom Holland.
Yes, I did not know it was Tom Holland, or I did not know Tom Holland was in this, but I knew immediately when he spoke, because all I could hear was Tom Holland.
He is a very recognizable Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, he's got a very recognizable voice, so it's hard to separate. Like,
that's fair.
I have the same issue with this movie that I do with Chris Pratt's Mario, and that is the lack of any kind of
you know the actors.
Yeah, it feels more like they hired a name rather than a voice.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So starting at the beginning, my immediate thoughts.
So we'll start with the premise. So
yes.
The premise of the movie is that Will Smith plays Lance Sterling.
Yeah, but we're just gonna call him Will Smith.
I'm gonna call him Will Lance Sterling Smith.
I don't like Will Smith's model, like the character model, because it's
very angular.
Yeah, it looks like one of those meme pics of people, where they Photoshop Will Smith to have like a smaller
really
face,
tiny lips.
Yeah, like all the features like are in the same place, but just
oh my god!
Shrank.
Now that you say that, I totally get it.
Yeah, you know the exact one I'm talking about.
I totally get it. That is hilarious. Okay.
Yeah.
So the premise is that Will Smith, as a pit, is essentially a super agent, the best in the business. When suddenly he's framed for a crime he didn't commit by a man with a claw for a hand who can steal faces.
Yeah.
Thus, he is sent on a quest to hide his identity and figure out what's going on, which means he has to team up with
Tom Holland.
And he gets turned into a pigeon.
Yeah.
And I just saw that image. I know that was the one that immediately came to mind.
Yeah.
Though I'd say the eyes are a little
together
than I get that. The nose should be smaller too. I'm just saying the entire face needs to be smaller, not just the eyes.
Yeah, but it definitely reminded me of all those memes of people like shrinking features of Will Smith.
That's fair.
Anyway,
we'll let you begin.
All right. So, the first thing I want to say is the movie is very predictable and very safe, which in turns means it's very sanitized. Like, there's no suspense. You know exactly what's gonna happen. Like, even in the very beginning, when the kid's mom was like, "Oh, I have to go take this call because I'm a cop, but don't worry, everything will be all right," and all that. Like, it's obvious she's going to die. Like, very obvious that's the last time. Because even behind her, there's the outside. You don't see the outside. You just see a golden light outside.
Yeah, they're a bit on the nose.
They're on the nose for everything. Like, it was obvious that when he's going through
she's gonna die. It was kind of obvious that Will Smith would be impersonated. It was a bit obvious that his own agency was gonna turn on him.
Yeah, it was obvious that all the gadgets that Tom Holland is trying to show off are going to come back in the climax. Like, the thing I hate the most is that Will Smith has a point when he's scolding Tom Holland in the beginning, because he's a spy. He needs his gadgets to do what they are supposed to do.
Oh yeah, that's totally reasonable. I was totally on board with that. I totally get that. When you want to do something, you want to know exactly what it's doing.
Yeah,
you don't want to grab your sleep dart and discover it's your vaporization ray because somebody swapped them out.
Yeah, you don't want to grab your smoke bomb and realize it's a glitter bomb.
To be fair, the glitter bomb is very cool.
I did not like it.
It's amusing. I think it's amusing. I find stuff like that kind of funny.
I find it to be way too much of a Deus Ex Machina because it breaks the suspension of disbelief. I cannot,
It's too silly.
Yeah, it is too silly to think that 70 Yakuza would just stop fighting to stare at a holographic cat and be like, "Aww." I could see them stopping for a moment out of confusion and then resuming fighting, but not to dote on the cat in the hologram of the glitter.
So what I'm getting from you right here, right now, is that the main issue you're running into is that the jarring shifts with Tom Holland's gadgetry clash against the rest of the tone of the movie.
Not all his gadgetry. Just that one.
The obvious one.
Just that one in particular. I could get behind the thing that deletes bones. I could get behind the inflatable bubble, because, those are things that actually would be very fucking useful. But I can't get behind just a glitter bomb that shows cats.
That's fair.
I could see that in some other series maybe, where
they explain it away that
I know it's it releases dopamine into the brain, but it's even that excuse is very flimsy, because I don't think that it would release enough dopamine to just make them fucking stop fighting.
But that's part of the comicness of it's the reason why it's animated. It's easier to suspend your disbelief with animation than it is with live action.
Yeah, but even still, that breaks my suspension of disbelief.
Yeah,
that in particular is way too egregious.
I got that. Yeah, that's the one gadget that I probably would say I got the least enjoyment out of.
If it was, I would be okay with it if it was just a regular glitter bomb and they were more confused or maybe blinded because glitter got in their eyes. That would be fine.
Glitter in the eyes is the worst pain in the world.
Yeah. Also, glitter gets everywhere.
They show that multiple times.
I know.
After each use, Lance / Will Smith is constantly having to dust it off.
Yeah, I did like that. I just don't like the cats.
Okay.
I don't like the cats, and I don't like the reaction.
You can definitely tell there was somebody on staff who was like, "This will be the big thing. We're gonna put so much marketing behind it. It is gonna be glitter." It would work in
Kids Next Door.
Yeah, but then again, Kids Next Door is you know what? I think it's the fact that the show that's the one gadget that really breaks the tone, because the rest of the movie is very.
It's played straight.
It's played very straight, yes. But the glitter, it would definitely have worked better in a heightened reality like Kids Next Door.
Yeah. It's definitely something that number 3 would have, absolutely. But in this one where it is played straight and the gadgets, they're a bit goofy, but they're still practical without having to make up bullshit that's very easy to think about for more than a second. The bubble gum getting people stuck. Yeah, I can believe that. Bubble gum is sticky. So that doesn't break my suspension of disbelief. The fucking no bones, I could believe that. I don't care how it works. That's like a gadget that I could see a spy getting a lot of use out of.
And it's very funny.
Oh yeah.
So the glitter thing, I think it comes down to 2 things. 1, it's very suspension disbelief breaking. 2, it's not very funny.
Yeah, also that.
It is the opposite with the bubble gum. It's not funny, but it makes sense in the world.
I mean, it was kind of funny when her boot got stuck.
Yeah, that is funny. It's funny when people get stuck in stuff.
Yeah.
And the bone liquefier dart does break suspension, but it's also very funny. It has to be one of those two. It has to either not break the suspension of disbelief, or it has to be very funny.
I mean, it didn't break suspension of disbelief for me.
Fair enough.
I have an easier time believing that a spy would reasonably have a ray gun that deletes your bones for a bit than I would a glitter bomb that has cats that make people stop fighting.
That's fair.
Another issue I had with it is that some of the gags last way too long. Like
the ongoing cloaca jokes, definitely.
Yeah, and the when they're in the car and they're rolling over and it goes through like, oh, a banana smacks him in the face, and then a wrench smacks him in the face, and then they get hand sanitizer in the eye, all in slow motion. That scene lasts like an entire minute, and it
does not.
It feels like it.
It feels like it was in slow motion.
Yeah,
and they do it twice.
Yeah, it goes on. It lasts way too long. Also, another thing that broke my suspicion of disbelief is, why could the spy network not track the spy car? It has GPS.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
To be fair, they were tracking him constantly by using, and the reason they had a hard time with it is because they were they tracked his boat and they tracked his plane, so they knew where he was at any given time. The problem was they couldn't prove he was there because he was a bird all those times.
Yeah, I think because they didn't know he was at at Tom Holland's house until Tom Holland called them. I think if Tom Holland, like, when they were in the car, if there was like some throwaway line like, I just disabled their tracking on that would have been easy.
Potentially.
Yeah.
It could just be that it was a funnier gag if they didn't it was a funnier gag if they swamped his house while leaving the car alone because they didn't realize the car's right behind them.
Yeah.
That's a funny gag. I thought that was funny. They're just terrorizing the house, breaking it down, ripping everything apart. Meanwhile, right behind them is Tom Holland and Will Smith struggling with the car door.
Yeah. But yeah. God, I don't know. There's just, it's not anything like major other than the kitty glitter, but it's just a lot of small things that add up to me not really enjoying much. All in all, I don't think it was necessarily bad, but it wasn't exactly good either. It was very middle of the road, and that is the worst place for a movie to be.
So, I feel a little differently. I really like the opening, and I liked the first third, and I liked the third third.
The opening and climax.
And the second third was just middle. Sort of. It was a bit not great. It was a little grating. It's where a lot of the predictable stuff happens.
Yeah, I can agree.
It's where the main character sort of becomes too grating a little.
Yeah, I can agree. The intro and the climax, both fairly decent, fairly competent, but the middle just
it's a little not as good. It's because it's where a lot of the
overly long gags.
Of the action becomes just sort of like bird does thing, boy does thing, and they're arguing all the time.
Yeah. And also the jokes are extremely predictable. Like the one where it's like, oh, it's simple physics. Oh, simple physics. I got this. Does it like a whole diagram in the head, and then does the jump. Like, it's obvious he's not gonna make it.
Yeah, it's obvious.
It would have been cool if he did made it. That would have been character development. But no.
It's a little too funny for its own good. Though I will say, the part where I feel I got let down the most, I really wanted to know more about the villain.
Yeah, the only thing we really learn is that, he was injured when Will Smith set off an explosion.
He was a victim of Will Smith's negligence as a hero, as a savior type.
Yeah.
Will Smith's character, Lance Sterling, is very much the sort who goes in, goes out, leaves a bunch of bodies.
Yeah. He's
and
very
I
reckless.
really do like that by the end of the movie, they really do point out that despite all the praise he gets, he's a freaking psychopath.
Yeah. You know, there are 3 movies that this movie really made me want to watch. The first one, Men in Black, because Will Smith as in a suit, obviously.
Is one of them Get Smart?
Yeah, no, the another one, Emperor's New Groove.
You know what? Fair enough.
Because
very much
it's about an arrogant asshole being turned into an animal and learning to actually give a shit about other people. And it's done a lot better.
And what's the third one?
Oh, Valiant.
Never heard of it.
What? It's the one about the pigeon. It's the animated movie about some pigeons who have top secret data. They're supposed to get to. It's set in World War II. You got a top secret message that they need to get to London. Meanwhile, they're being chased by a Nazi hawk who's trying to stop it.
Of it.
And oh god, you want to know what the top secret information was?
What?
The top secret information was, it's not explicitly stated, but it lets them, it causes them to change their plans and instead storm the beaches of Normandy instead of what they were going to do. That's what the top secret plan is basically that they gotta storm Normandy. And that's why the Nazi hawk is trying to take it, because, you know...
That's fair.
Yeah. It's a really good movie.
That does sound fun. I'll give it a look sometime.
Yeah. It's about carrier pigeons, and it's the Motley Crue kind of, where a bunch of ragtag, like, people who were effectively rejected end up having to team up and do the job that they were told they're not fit to do. It's that kind of movie.
Valiant, film, 2005, computer-generated comedy. Yeah. Ooh, I am really not liking those designs in the poster.
I mean, they're pigeons.
I'm really not liking these designs.
Well, I liked it. I thought it was a really good movie. I think
that's fair. It
looks a lot better actually in
motion.
Yeah, because the poster has like really, really bad lighting that makes it look like a PS2 or PS1 cutscene.
Very dark shadows.
Yeah, if you actually look at it in the if you look at some of the screenshots of the movie itself, you'll see that it's not bad for... It doesn't look bad for a 2005 CG film.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You know, this movie... Spies in the Skies reminds me of Get Smart. Not the 2000s movie with the dude from The Office.
Yeah.
But the original black and white one.
Yeah, the one from 1930s?
It is well beyond that.
Well, when was it?
That was 1965.
1965? Oh wow, that is a lot more recent.
It is old, yes.
No, that's a lot more recent than I thought it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I thought it was I thought the 65 version was a remake. Yeah, I thought that there was like an original movie that came out before, and that the 65 version was a TV series based on it, wasn't it?
Oh, it had a 1995 revival.
Oh, it did? Oh,
Yes,
that might
what
be
you're
what...
thinking about.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I've seen the 1965 version.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable. There's one gag in the original black and white version, which I guess had some colored episodes occasionally, where they're getting their tickets for a hotel, and a guy draws a gun on them, and then the person behind him draws their gun, and then another person draws their gun. And it just keeps going down the line as, like, the main character is like, don't worry, I thought about that this person might betray us, so I hired another gunman. And eventually, it's just an entire room full of people holding their guns at each other in, like, a conga line.
Conga line of death!
And it ends with the protagonist just walking out of the room, going up the elevator. You hear a bunch of gunshots, and it's never mentioned again.
God. God, I love the idea of just like a bunch of people with guns all aimed like one to another. Like that one scene from Fuck All where it was, I don't know what it's from, but it's the one where it's like three people all with guns pointing at each other, and then there's a sniper.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
The one thing I also like about the 1965 version of Get Smart, definitely over the 2008 movie. The 2008 movie did this scene so dirty, but it's the cone of silence. Yeah. It's when the characters lower a cone around themselves in order to keep information secret, so that nobody can listen in on them, but they can't hear each other because the cone's too effective. In the 2008 version, they make it like a ray gun that just silences everybody, so nobody can hear each other. And in the original, it's like
I'm picturing like a traffic cone
it for the audience too. They deafen it for the audience too in some sections, so you can't hear what they're saying really well. In the 2008 version, I think they still keep the audio on, so you hear like the office guy screaming his head off. Nope. The entire time. It was not a funny joke.
Speaking of not funny jokes, one joke I really found extremely grating in Spies in Disguise was the hydrogen bond joke.
I don't recall that one.
It's the one where Tom Holland's like, we need code names. I'll be Bond. Hydrogen Bond.
Oh yeah,
there's a reason that you forgot it.
That one didn't get a laugh out of me, I'll be honest.
Yeah. And that's... I have that under one of the lists of gags that run too long, because he does it multiple times in the movie.
Yeah, the movie has a few issues with, like, running gag.
It feels like a lot of it's just padding. A lot of the gags just feel like padding.
From my understanding, the movie was undergoing production in the middle of the buyout.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of them weren't sure if they would be keeping their jobs. So I believe in places they had to cut stuff to get it out before the Disney purchase.
Yeah. There are a few issues I do have with the climax, though. There are some things that are extremely cringe, like him naming the rainbow smoke bombs 50 Shades of Yay.
Yes, I recall that one.
Yeah. But I think the heroic sacrifice that he tried to do was serviceable enough.
It's a very serviceable movie.
It's very middle of the road. It's only slightly above boring. Like
I'd say inevitably the thing I take away from it is there's things I enjoyed a lot and there's things I didn't enjoy. So overall, it's sort of middle of the road, but I'll remember the highs a lot more than I will the lows. If that makes sense.
I guess. It's it's about as good as an okay Illumination film, if that makes sense. Like,
Illumination is only one good film, so.
Well, that's why I said okay Illumination film.
That's fair. I'd say it's better than like most of their stuff, but
well, yeah, because most of Illumination's film are well below okay.
I'd say it's sort of like a good I'd say if it was made by Pixar, it'd just be one of their mid films.
Yeah.
Sort of like the original Cars. Nobody talks about it unless they're talking about how they didn't gel with it.
Yeah. But it's better than Cars 2.
I can definitely see people enjoying Spies in Disguise more if they're willing to forgive a sort of lousy middle.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. My suggestion, watch the intro, pop an edible so that you can watch the intro, be zonked out for the entire bit of the middle, and then come to around the climax.
There are bits, I will say, throughout that are enjoyable, definitely. Gosh, I'm trying to think. There's something else I wanted to say.
The gag,
yes.
Is it about the gag of like someone being extremely clumsy but it working in their favor and nobody else knows, so that they come across as being like extremely competent when it was all an accident? Because I do like those gags. I wish it was kind of executed a little bit better in this film, because a lot of the gags, because I'm a big fan of like, what's a good example? God, what's a good example of someone like bumbling their way into? Well, Todd, for example.
Kung Fu Panda.
You know what? Yes.
Scroll has given him powers.
Yeah, that's it exactly. That is exactly the kind of thing I'm thinking of, where a lot of the fight against Tai Lung, Po is like being knocked around and his body is just bouncy. So it's basically just physics working on his body, and Tai Lung has no idea and thinks that he's a really, really skilled to be fair, he is a skilled martial arts master, but thinks that he's some godly martial arts master at this stage. And that is one done extremely well. And it happens in this multiple times, like in the hotel scene and in the car chase, where they fumble their way in the car, causing extremely wild maneuvers that the people chasing them are like, my god, he's so unpredictable, no wonder he's the best spy we have.
I recall that.
Yeah, but it's hampered down by these overly long gags, because a decent chunk is put into slow motion.
That's fair. As you said, there are bits. Oh, definitely one of the things. I had low expectations for this film when it was announced, entirely because of the trailer.
I didn't even see the trailer.
So in the original trailer, it's about 1.5 minutes. The first minute is entirely spent with footage that does not exist in the film.
You know what? Commendable.
It's footage of Will Smith's secret agent doing cool things, fighting cool enemies, and doing a bunch of stuff that does not happen in the film. And then it hard cuts to him being turned into a pigeon. And then they do the opening of the pigeon gag.
Oof.
And it is not great. And a lot of people were like, I want to see a film with Will Smith being a cool secret agent. These action scenes look so good. Because they don't appear in the film, but like they're really good. They're really well animated.
Yeah.
Which is partially why I was sort of like, they're not putting any of the trailer footage in the film, are they?
You know, I kind of have mild respect for trailers that lie in terms of, like, getting the point across, but not using stuff that's actually in the thing. Like, getting the point across without spoiling by using stuff that's not in the film. Like, the Jim Carrey Grinch, for example, the trailer has, like half the trailer is stuff that's not in the movie, and it's the Grinch being a dick. But it's also
getting the point across.
Yeah, it's getting the point across that he's a dick, and he does different dickish things in the film.
Yeah, that's fair.
But still, in line. Like, it's not hard to believe that maybe the trailer stuff is just stuff we don't get to see, if that makes sense.
Well, the new show, so the trailer shows off most of the villains you see in the movie in like quick little vignettes being taken out. They even show off the claw hand guy and the attack drone. So it's pretty clear that they made it using the assets they had, so there's no original assets. But the trailer shots are so cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were disappointed because at the time, the argument was once more coming up over, do you remember the old Disney turning people a character into animals argument people kept having?
Yeah, and they were like, oh, you see, the Emperor's New Groove is racist because Cusco is a person of color. It's like, yeah, so is Pacha, so is Yzma. They're all native Peruvians?
Peru, yeah.
Yeah,
they're from the Incan Empire.
Yeah, they're all Incan, Peruvian natives and all that. They.
To be fair, the argument I always heard was more about Princess and the Frog, which, to be fair, I do get that a bit more than, say, the Emperor's New Groove. But at the same time, I'd argue, I guess that was just sort of the story they were stuck with.
Yeah, but I don't think that it's. I don't think that it's inherently racist, because it's that them being turned into an animal is more of it's because usually
it's an old trope.
Yeah, it's an old trope of getting someone out of their comfort zone so that they can grow to be a better person. That's why more often than not, the people are assholes beforehand, like Cusco and Will Smith's character,
Lance Sterling.
Yeah, like they are assholes, and then they get stuck in a position where they don't have the kind of power that they normally have, and they learn to be a better person and learn things that they otherwise would not have been able to.
All right. So, what's gonna be our wrap-up score?
It was very middle of the road. I'd give it 8 sexy pigeons out of 16.
That is a lot of sexy pigeons.
Well, it's out of 16.
That's fair. I'd give it 5 glitter bombs. I'd give it 6 glitter bombs out of 10.
All right. Tune in next week where we watch a movie that we both love that was not made by Henry Selick, surprisingly. And is perfect for the spooky month. Which,
I need to pick out a movie that's perfect for spooky month.
You do. My guess is you're probably going to choose Hocus Pocus. That's my guess. Yeah, no, we're going to do Corpse Bride next week.
Okay, Corpse Bride, then Hocus Pocus.
Yeah! All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching our review. There's other stuff on the channel, like God of War. We're going to be having Senua's Sacrifice fairly soon. There is also a couple Zelda randomizers. and the return of Eternal Darkness. We're returning to Eternal Darkness.
I'm very neutral on that one.
Yeah, well, you're not the one playing it, so it'll be...
I'm very neutral.
Yeah, all right.
Well, my opinions don't matter because I'm not touching it.
All right. For comment challenge of the day, what is your favorite animal where a protagonist, or what is your favorite movie where a protagonist is turned into an animal? Because I really like Brother Bear. I
really like Twilight Princess.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, there's nothing left to say, but good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.